Did you know that there are different ways to tell the time in German? And if you want to ace in your exams, especially your Hören exam, then you should know all of them. So in this video, I will be simplifying the way that you can learn how to tell the time in German using the best StudySmart techniques. So let's go. Guten Tag and welcome to StudySmart, the channel that will make you study strategically and score high. I'm your mentor Faiza and we will be discussing everything time related in this video, from its technical terms to its unique preposition. So hurry up and like this video, drop a comment and subscribe to my channel so that I can make more videos like this to help you ace your exam. Let's start off with the questions that are usually used to ask for the time. One is, wie spät ist es? Wie spät ist es? Which literally means how late is it? The other question could be, wie viel Uhr ist es? Wie viel Uhr ist es? Which means what hour is it? Uhr has many meanings in German. It usually means a clock, and Handuhr is a watch. In time, it means hour or o'clock. One of the things that I found useful while learning German was that I used to repeat these questions constantly during a day so that my ears were accustomed to it during the Hören exam. So let's say it again. Wie spät ist es? Wie viel Uhr ist es? Now, how do we answer this? There is the formal way and then there is the colloquial or the informal way. You should know both of these because during your Hören exam, they will actually use the colloquial way to tell the time, and you should be able to catch on to that. Let's start with the easy way, which is actually the formal way. The formal way is very number oriented. That means you should know your numbers. If you need to brush up on your numbers, you can catch my video on it. The formal method, which is used on radio or on TV, follows a 24-hour format, which means that after 12 noon, whatever hour it is would be plus 12. Let's see how. Now, if this is the time, you would say, es ist 3 Uhr, which means 3 o'clock, and automatically it will be recognized as 3 a.m. Now, if it is 3 in the afternoon, you would add 3 with the 12 to make it 15. And then you would say, es ist 15 Uhr, which means 3 p.m. In case you were wondering, midnight is known as the 0 Uhr because that is when the day starts. Now, when you have hours plus the minutes, the format is that you say the hour plus Uhr plus the number of minutes. Like we would say, es ist 8 Uhr 37. Let's see another one. Es ist 19 Uhr 14. So you can see that we've used the 24-hour format. That means that 7 p.m. is 19. And we put the Uhr next to it just to give that this is the hour. And then we've put in the minutes and just the number of the minutes. So therefore it is, es ist 19 Uhr 14. Now how would we say this? Es ist 6 Uhr 30. Es ist 10 Uhr 45. And that is how you tell the time the formal way. Easy enough? Now let's move on to the more common and colloquial way of telling the time. So let's start with some of the basics. This is usually a 12-hour format. That means you do not have to add 12 to the hour that you're talking about. But for clarity, the part of the day might be mentioned like Morgen or Abend, depending on whether it is AM or PM. If you want to know more about Tageszeiten, I suggest that you watch my video on it. It also contains days of the week, months, and seasons. Now coming back to the informal way of telling the time. So this could be said as es ist 9 Uhr, or you could just say es ist 9. Drop the Uhr. And that is the main part of the informal way of telling the time. You drop the Uhr. The other thing is that it uses a format that we are familiar with in English, and hour is divided into quarters and half hours. In German, quarter is Viertel. Viertel. Viertel 4 is quarter to. Viertel nach is quarter past. So 5:45 would be Viertel vor sechs. Viertel vor sechs. And 2:15 would be Viertel nach zwei. Viertel nach zwei. And 3:45 would be Viertel vor vier. Good. Now let's move on to the half hours. In German it is called halb. Halb. Now in English we are used to half past a certain hour. But in German the half is used to the next hour. So 4:30 would be es ist halb fünf. Es ist halb fünf. 11:30 will be said as es ist halb zwölf. Es ist halb zwölf. I know this is extremely tricky because you're not used to it. But whenever you hear halb Uhr, automatically take that Uhr back and add 30 minutes to it. I would suggest that you keep on practicing it because you will need it in your Sprechen exam as well. So just for your practice, let's do this one. So 12:30 will be called as es ist halb eins. Es ist halb eins. Fantastic. Now let's move on to a bit more complex things where things get a bit more mathematical, but I will try my level best to make it easy for you. Now look at the clock. The pivotal markers are the hour and the halb hour, which is the half hour to, and we split the clock. Now imagine the Mercedes logo on it, fitting as it is a German car. Now you can see that the logo is dividing the clock. First section is from the start of the hour to the edge of the 20th minute. The second section is the 20th minute to the half hour. Then from the hour we have up till the edge of the 40th minute. Then we have the last part, which is the 40th minute up to the end of the hour. Now the part from the start of the hour to the 19th minute is dominated by the current hour. And anything that is in it will be nach the present hour. Nach the present Uhr. So 9:12 would be 12 nach 9. 12 nach 9. Easy enough? Now the next two parts are dominated by the halb to the next hour. The first section will be the minutes to the half hour to the next hour. And it will be said as whatever minutes for halb whatever the Uhr is. So how do we go about it? Let's say we have 7:25. First thing you do is think of the halb. What is it 30 minutes to? 8. So 7:30 is halb 8. How many minutes to halb 8? 5. Es ist 5 vor halb 8. Now what is this time? This is 2:23 in English. Think of the halb first. So 2:30 would be halb 3. Now how many minutes to halb 3? 7. So this would be es ist 7 vor halb 3. Now we're going to be using the same technique in the next section, which is dominated by the halb, but it will be the minutes past the half hour or nach halb. So we have, let's say, 4:36. Think of the halb first. 4:30 would be halb 5. Now how many minutes past the halb 5? It would be 6. So this is 6 nach halb 5. 6 nach halb 5. Let's try another example. This is 18:39. Think of the halb. That is halb 7. How many minutes past the halb? 9. So this would be 9 nach halb 7. 9 nach halb 7. Great, let's move to the next section. And this will be dominated by the upcoming hour. And we measure it with the minutes to that hour. So 6:43 would be 17 vor 7. 17 for sieben. 350 would be 10 for 4. 10 for 4. 254 would be 6 für 3. 6 for 3. Just summary of the technique to use mentally. Split the clock into halves. Put a Mercedes logo on it. The first section is dominated by the minutes past the current hour. The second is dominated by the minutes to the half hour to the next hour. Next is the section with the minutes past the half hour to the next hour. And the last one is minutes to the upcoming hour. The best way to learn this is to draw a clock into the sections that I've told you and write N, V, so you remember it as a mnemonic. If, however, you're just a few minutes away from the markers, be it the Uhr or the halb hour, and you do not want to say it's 3 minutes after or to a certain hour, you can always say etwa. For instance, if it is 3 minutes to or past 7, you can say etwa 7, which means it is around 7. If you want to say it is close to 7, for instance, then you can say es ist kurz vor 7. And if you want to say it is close past 7, then you can say es ist kurz nach 7. Exact 7 would be Punkt 7. Punkt 7. Fantastic, now you know how to tell the time. But how do you set up a meeting and say when you will be coming or going or arriving or departing, etc.? At that time, you need the magical German preposition which means at. So if you were to say, I am coming at 8 o'clock, you would say, ich komme 8 Uhr. Ich komme 8 Uhr. Or, are we meeting at 10:15? Treffen wir uns Viertel nach 10. Treffen wir uns Viertel nach 10. Or if you want to say she goes to school at 7:30, you could say sie geht 7:30 zur Schule. Sie geht 7:30 zur Schule. Now, one more thing to notice is that if there is info on time and location in a sentence, then we place time before the location. That is why it is sie geht 7:30 zur Schule. If you want to lay emphasis on the time, then the sentence would be 7:30 geht sie zur Schule. Congrats, you can now tell the time, recognize it whenever it's going to be said out, and of course, excel in your exam. I will be coming up with a video on duration soon, so keep an eye out for that. If you're interested in knowing how to excel in your exam, do check out my many videos in my playlist. And don't forget to like this video, drop a comment and subscribe to my channel, the only channel that believes that no exam is difficult, you just need to study smart. See you in my next video. Cheers!